morning. Welcome to the Parenting Versus podcast.
Podcast?
Yeah, so that's the sound of our heater.
Riveting already. Mm-hmm. We're starting off on a really exciting foot today.
Yeah, we're at home. It's been a while. We've been busy.
Real busy, I know. Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like all parents kind of know that life, though.
Yeah.
You fall into this, it's like a circular situation where it's like you're busy, you're tired, you have more plans, you're busy, you're tired, you don't want to do anything, and then you just get booked up again. And it's just been us kind of trying to catch up with everything going on, I feel like.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know where to start as far as what's been going on in my life. My head's spinning just from the day to day, but you've been busy doing work and podcasting. Yeah,
I went back to work after being home for a couple years with kids. It's a nice feeling, I'm not gonna lie. Mm-hmm. I enjoy my job a lot, so that helps. And it's a place I've worked before, and it was nice because I'm back with people that I know, and it's like a really solid group of people and a solid business, and I just love it. So I'm excited to be back at work. It feels good to have that kind of in my day. But the downside to it is our routines, in the morning getting kids ready and stuff, and the weekends are a little more hectic because we're cramming in a lot more, I think.
Yeah. So essentially I don't know why I started with that, but I have read some places during the pandemic, one of the most affected demographics has been women who are parents. They've taken a lot of that load of
mom, teacher, home person / whatever else / your kid got sent home from school and has to quarantine for 10 days. There's been a lot of demand, I think, on stay-at-home parents in general, just because the dynamic has been, up until recently, really unstable and really unpredictable.
Yeah.
And so, before I started back to work, there was a couple days where we had our kids that, they were at school and then they were exposed to somebody, and then the school called and they were like, hey, you got to come and get them, and they have to stay home for 10 days. And thankfully our kids are vaccinated now, so we don't have to do that. But before they got it approved for kids to be vaccinated, we had to deal with that. So it was always kind of a pain in the butt to not be sure if you were going to have to be home with a kid for 10 days or everything was going to go okay.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you're working. You seem like you're happier to be with other adult humans.
I am.
And I don't know, does work kind of give you a little bit of a sense of purpose?
Yeah, for sure.
On top of being a mom and everything else?
Yeah, it's a different sense of purpose. Obviously as a parent you have that parenting sense of okay, I'm taking care of humans, and that's a big job. But I think also just going to work and knowing that I'm contributing financially is nice. And then also like you said, being around other adults too is a nice balance, because I haven't had that in a long time. And it is hard when you're a parent at home and you're not around other grown-ups all day. You're just around kids and kid stuff and kid dynamics, and it gets kind of wearing sometimes.
Yeah. That's, when I worked at that major online retailer that has warehouses that ship billions of items all the time, I'm talking about.
That has terrible ethics.
I don't know if I signed any sort of things, so I'm just gonna be safe. Yeah. Anyways, that when I worked there, I worked with a lot of other adult humans, but I was never sort of in this place where I could interact with any other humans really. It was always sort of there was always sort of a sense of panic. I don't know. It was weird. So I kind of had that.
There was urgency over social.
Right. It wasn't a workplace that I'm familiar with.
It wasn't like The Office?
No, definitely not.
Actually,
definitely not.
It's funny because I feel like my place of work is kind of like The Office.
Oh, really?
And it just makes it more fun and more hilarious. There's certain situations that come up during the day where I just I will sit in my cubicle and I will laugh my ass off because it's just so funny to me.
Do you have the boss that's kind of not PC about stuff?
No. I don't have a Michael Scott in my life. My boss is actually like one of the best bosses ever, and he's like not a micromanager, and he's very good at his job, but he's also very good at like working with people. So
And you interviewed him on your podcast too. So that's
yeah,
cool.
on the What's Up ABQ podcast. It hasn't released yet, but and I'm sorry if I'm sniffly. Albuquerque has been under a wind advisory for like 2 days. The winds have been insane and the dust is crazy and I sound disgusting. So
Well, you can take a parenting pause and you can take care of yourself.
well, I have a tissue, but it's just like allergies. Like they're just like the dust is really getting to me.
Yeah.
So we had a fun experience last weekend though. Do you want to talk about that?
I don't know what you're talking about.
We went snowshoeing.
Oh, yeah.
God.
Also on What's Up ABQ podcast, which we will link.
Yeah.
But yeah, what are they called? MTS?
MST. Mountain Stream Trail Adventures.
MST Adventures. We had a guide whose name was
Corey Spores.
And we met at the 10K trailhead on Sandia Peak, which is really cool because in Albuquerque, like, what do you think about Albuquerque if you're not from Albuquerque? You think something probably like Phoenix or Tucson, but not as fancy, right? That's in a nutshell what's probably a lot of America thinks about Albuquerque. And also that comes through in a lot of the marketing that people who aren't from Albuquerque, who do marketing for Albuquerque, they'll put the saguaro cactuses on everything. We don't have those here.
Yeah. That's a pet peeve of Lorenzo's actually.
Yeah, I hate it.
He gets so mad. Like
We don't have those cactus here.
Somebody had this like, it was like an air freshener for my car and they gave it to me for free. And it was like.
Well, they should know better. They're from here. Like
it was like, I'm not going to say the name of the company, but it was like an air freshener and it's a cool design, but it has a saguaro cactus on it.
Well, it's a cool, they're a cool place. Like they're holding your jewelry and stuff.
They are. No, they're great. So that's why I don't want to say it because I'm not mad at them.
I'm not gonna fault people if like it's just like in passing, whatever. But like
it was free.
If you're a big corporation, and then you're doing marketing for example, Albertsons grocery market,
Marketplace,
grocery store.
I think they're marketplace now.
Yeah,
I don't know. Are they all?
They have the reusable bags, right? Because plastic bags are illegal in Are they? Is that the term? Illegal?
Banned.
They're banned. So. The city's trying to encourage either the use of paper or like reusable bags. The reusable bags that they have at Albertsons say New Mexico in big letters, and it's red and yellow. They got that right. But then they put the saguaro cactuses everywhere, and I'm like, no.
Lorenzo, like, he gets straight pissed. Actually, though, I think Trader Joe's, their, like, reusable bags have done a pretty good job of, like, doing the New Mexico thing. Yeah. They got it right. So good job, Trader Joe's. Thanks for that. Shout out.
Do your research. If you're marketing, do your research.
Not a sponsor. Wish you were.
Yeah, wish you were.
I like your snacks.
Give us your Hawaiian shirts, please.
Oh, I love their snacks.
Yeah, their snacks are good. Yeah, so what were we talking about?
Snowshoeing.
Yeah, snowshoeing. It was really fun. So we went to the 10K trailhead, and Albuquerque, like I said, is very dry.
Especially right now.
Yeah, and it's warmer than a lot of cities, I guess, but it's a lot colder than I think what you would expect because Albuquerque.
It's like a high desert.
Yeah, like our current elevation. You can make fun of me. I don't care. Yeah.
I'm sorry. There's
distracted.
a picture of my son that popped up on the TV. And it's just like the cutest picture. He just looks so little, and I was just like, "Oh, look how cute."
Our current elevation is 5,400 feet above sea level. We have a child. What's up, Luke?
Can I ask after that podcast? Can I play Xbox?
I think we're gonna go to Costco after, for a little bit. Maybe this afternoon.
Here, Luke. Yeah.
We are in strict Xbox negotiations pretty much all week.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. Which I have another side comment about Xbox for a second. But so Albuquerque, we're at 5,400 feet above sea level, which means that our winters can be pretty cold. Like it's been a pretty dry, but I feel like it's been a cold winter.
We've had a couple of like random snowstorms that have blown through and dumped on us for like 2 days and then they're gone. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's typical, I feel like, of New Mexico though. It's like we get hit really hard, it stays for like a day and then it melts and it's sunny again.
Yeah.
Just a taste, you know?
Yeah. I've been taking the kids to school every morning because my job allows me to now. And I feel like every morning it's been like pretty frigid, like
Yeah.
20 degrees,
It's chilly in the mornings.
like 20s. I don't know. I call that frigid. If you're from Ohio, you're probably like, oh, blah blah blah. But
Blah,
it's like,
blah blah blah.
oh, blah blah blah.
Ohio, cold.
Ohio,
Blah blah blah.
Chicago.
Chicago. That was
But yeah,
fun.
20 degrees. It's been cold. But finally this week we got a morning of above freezing, which was nice, above 32, which has been really cool. But
Yeah.
back to snowshoeing.
Yes.
Up on the Sandia Mountains, which is really close. It's like in the Albuquerque area, I guess you could say. We met Corey at the 10K trailhead. And there was a base of about, what did he say, it was like 35 inches of snow or something.
I don't remember.
And it's been a really, like, it's a dry winter, so usually the Sandia Mountains have more, but still it was enough to snowshoe, and it was a really, really great experience. I enjoyed it a lot. It was like what was it, like a 3 mile in, 3 mile out?
3.5 in, 3.5 out.
Yeah. So he took us
7 miles ish.
on the 10K trailhead. We ended up at the crest. They call it the crest, which is basically the peak of the mountain, and you can see the part we were at. You could see
Farmington.
Bernalillo.
Farmington.
Yeah, well, Farmington was towards Farmington.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't see it.
And you can see Mount Taylor. It was a really great experience.
It was a different, like, visual perspective than you usually get. Usually when
Yeah.
people come here and they go up the tram to the peak, they see, like, the city of Albuquerque, which is nice too, but this was on the other side of that, so it was, like, not a common perspective, which was great. I appreciated the fact that it was, like, a different view than we normally
Yeah.
get, so it was really cool. And
Yeah.
snowshoeing is hard. It's hard work. There were a couple moments where I was like, I don't know if I can keep going.
Like, screw this. You did good, though.
My knees are, well, to be fair, so I have really bad knees, and I really haven't done anything to, like, work up to snowshoeing, so I think I probably should have, like, thought about that a little bit.
Yeah.
But I maintained, and I got it done, and
Yeah.
all in all, it was a good experience.
Yeah, it was really cool. Heavily forested Sandia Mountains. There was squirrel footprints and rabbit footprints. Our guide, Corey, he was really in tune with, like, all of that. And he was talking to us about something called forest bathing, which I totally get.
Yeah.
Like, it's a mental health thing. Like, he said it was like a Japanese
Practice.
sort of thing. But people do forest bathing where they just, basically, for me, it's just like spending time in the forest. You feel a lot better. And
But you're, like, sorry.
Oh, that's fine.
No, like, you're disconnected from, like, external digital noise and, like, technological noise and city noise. It's like you're hearing nature and you're feeling nature, and there's no distractions. There's no,
Yeah.
like...
But I think there is, like, some actual, like, research and papers, like, scientific papers written about, like, the positive effects of being in the forest, like, on your mental health.
Well, we talked about the blue mind effect, like, back
Yeah.
a long time ago, but that's the same thing as, like, people that are near water or oceans
Yeah.
or bodies of water are generally, like, happier.
Yeah. Oh, what's that? The salt rock. What is that supposed to do?
Himalayan salt rock?
Yeah. They say it's like ionizing.
It's supposed to ionize the air. I
so
don't know. I don't know.
That's baloney. But the idea of, like, ionizing whatever, I watched a video. I think it was Veritasium. I'll have to look it up and link it. But a reputable kind of guy. He doesn't, like, peddle pseudoscience. He's like a real.
He doesn't sell essential oils.
He's like a real, like, engineer, and I trust his judgment. No, he doesn't. He doesn't sell essential oils. But no, he was talking about how basically those ionizing rocks are bogus, which
Yeah.
I think they are too. But that
I think
the
it's just an
idea,
aesthetic thing. Like, it's you want to believe it, so it works for you.
yeah, like a placebo.
Yeah.
But
It also just
there's,
looks
like,
cool.
some science about, like, being away from cities and being away from, like, electronics and, like, radio waves that are blasting all over the place all the time. How that has a positive effect on you. Geez, you're, like, cuddling our cat right now.
He's actually being nice, and it's like, this is how I wish he was all the time. Like, he's very lovey, and, like, he's just snuggling me, and I'm like, I wish you were like this all the time.
Yeah. But yeah, it was
But you're
a great time. So shout out to Corey from
Yeah,
MST.
MST. And he does, like, water sports too, so I actually want to do the paddle boarding on the Rio Grande, like, when the weather gets better. I'm going to sign up for that.
Yeah.
Like, I really want to. And I want to do whitewater rafting too, but I think I'm going to start with the paddling. I've been whitewater rafting.
I
but-
think that'd be fun. I'm a little bit afraid.
The Rio Grande's not that deep.
No, I know, but, like, there's rocks that are very hard.
Eh.
and I had children.
But he knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
He's a guide. I think
yeah,
you're
of course,
fine.
of course.
The coolest thing though, talking with Corey was like, I was talking to him a little bit about like some of the adventures he's done, and he was talking about how a guy hired him to kind of be his like right-hand dude while this man searched for like Forrest Fenn's treasure. Mm-hmm. So they went on this like, it was like every couple of months they'd go on these like 2 or 3 week long like jaunts around trying to find like Forrest Fenn's treasure, and like they ended up at all kinds of places. And you know, he was funny because he said sometimes the guy only hired me to like hold the bear spray, but other times like we were out just like looking and strategizing and trying to find it. And so it was interesting to hear that he was a part of that whole thing too.
Yeah, just a general adventurer.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to the adventurer Corey Spores.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, check out that podcast. I don't know when it'll drop.
It's already dropped.
It's already dropped. Okay,
yeah, it's
cool.
on What's Up ABQ, the podcast. It's MST Adventures with Corey Spores is what it's called. So
nice.
you can hear about Forrest Fenn's treasure and all that stuff if you want to hear about it. He's just an interesting dude. He knows a lot. Mm-hmm. He's a nature guy for sure. So
yep,
picked his brain.
There you go. All right, cool.
This cat is really into me right now.
Yeah, he's just like eating it up. He's got 2 black little eyebrow whiskers.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways. All right, well, I am going to grab some coffee real quick.
Take a little parenting
So
pause.
take a quick parenting pause. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back.
And we're back.
So, in this time, I've been spending a lot of time on Instagram and TikTok. Mm-hmm. And there was a meme that popped up on my feed that said, I'm getting pretty tired of being in an interesting chapter of a history book for somebody in the future. Like, I'm paraphrasing, but you get the idea.
Makes sense.
And I was thinking, like, yeah, totally. Pandemic, like the start of a possible like worldwide aggression. Yeah, I want to be in a boring time of history, I think. But maybe
where all was well. It was like the 50s and everything was like doing all right. Everybody was just like happy-go-lucky and drinking sodas at the soda fountain.
All was well for some people.
Golly gee. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It's been a little bananas, and I feel like I'm in a perfect storm of like all of these things happening. Like I'm in my late 30s, parent, like trying to just create some sort of like safe space for my kids, and at the same time like try to be a decent human and try to be like a good husband. But there's all of these things. I don't know if other people in their late 30s sort of can relate to that, but yeah.
I think it's hard too because it's like we just had to explain a pandemic to our kids, right? We just had to explain that and explain why we couldn't see people and explain why we had to wear masks and explain why we had to get vaccinated. Like that was a whole thing, right? And explaining that to children was not easy. And now with like war and aggression on the news and bombings, and we're seeing it every night, that's a whole different thing that we have to explain to our children because now they're old enough to see it and notice it and recognize it. And it's scary to them. Like they've told us it's scary to them. And especially our 9-year-old who's about to be 10, like he understands the fear. Mm-hmm. And that's a hard thing because we just got out of explaining a pandemic and now we have to explain like war and like why innocent people are dying.
Right.
You know, and why we're not like really able to do much from here. Mm-hmm.
And we're old people, so in the mornings we kind of start our day with a brief sip of coffee and we watch the local news. And sometimes we have to kind of like turn it off.
Yeah, we try to like, I mean, and it's hard because you want your children to understand what's going on in the world and you want to be honest with them. But there is also a point where it's like you can be honest with them, but there's only so much of the real world they need to see at one point.
I saw, I think it was a NPR story on Instagram, and it was sort of helping parents, make sense of really, really bad events that are in the news, because kids can't like really avoid that.
Right.
Sometimes, like, they're going to hear about it either by their parents talking about it or their parents watching the news. And like they were referring to Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers, and the way he sort of helped make this make sense to people, was identified the helpers. Because anytime there's any sort of like crisis, there is always going to be a group of people who emerge who are going to be the helpers in that situation.
Right.
So we can kind of highlight that for our kids. Like, for example, there's a group of people who are renting Airbnbs in Ukraine to help those people, because nobody's going to Ukraine right now.
Right.
And it's like a big help to people who have Airbnbs. They're getting all of their Airbnb dates are being booked by people who, like, that's some way that some people can help. You know what I mean?
So they're not actually staying there. They're just renting them.
They're just
it's like
booking
they're
them.
just paying them to pay them. That's good.
And not only that, but like on their booking, they're like sending them like notes and saying like, "Hey, we support you," blah blah blah. And that's really been a point of encouragement for a lot
It's
of
like something
Ukrainians.
you can do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
So.
I guess that's a small thing you can do. I get it, but I don't. I mean, I'm kind of like, is that helping though? But I guess
Yeah.
it would be.
No, like it's
financially.
It's financial, and then it's also like letting people know like we support you, we're with you.
Right.
And I was the story I was reading, the people's responses were just like thank you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, it blows my mind. I don't know. I've thought a lot about this, and I don't want to come off as like a conspiracy theorist or like a crazy person. It's just like my mind goes a million different directions when I think about Russia and I think about what's going on. And
Roll with it.
well, yeah. Okay. So I'm sorry. I sound
You need
terrible.
some water?
I just like hate the way I sound right now.
Do you need water?
I don't know if I need water or I just need like vitamin C for days. I don't need, this is so stupid. Is this the
What?
cat water?
No, the cat didn't do anything to it. Not like giving you the cat's water bowl.
No, I know that. I was like worried that he like put his paw in there because he's a weirdo and he does that. God, I don't even like cats. Like, why are we even talking about this? One of these days I'm gonna go end up adopting a dog. Like, it's gonna happen. Like, it's only a matter of time.
Literally, like 5 minutes ago, you were cuddling with our cat like nobody else does. So,
Well, whatever.
anyways.
A cuddle of convenience. Anyways, so what I was gonna say is, I feel terrible for the Russian people because it's pretty clear that the Russian people, for the majority, don't want this. I mean, their leadership is like he's destroying his own people. You know, they don't like, and they have no say in this, and they have to just be along for the ride and the repercussions, which is completely wrong and unfair. And it's very sad, you know, because there's a lot of people in Russia that don't want this. And they've said it, and they're getting, you know, arrested for protesting, and they're getting hit with the sanctions just as much as Putin is, because it affects them whether you want to think about it or not. So that's very sad. And that makes me sad for them, because it's like all the progress that they seem to have made in the last, 50 years is just kind of out the window, you know? Also, it makes me really sad because I think about oh my gosh, I almost said digital. That's not what I mean though. Like a cyber attack. I think about like a giant cyber attack happening, and I really do think that that's like what the next thing is going to be. And it's like, how do we prepare for that? I mean, because Russia did this, they did this to, I think it was Estonia. They did this to Estonia, and it completely devastated their economy. And it was like a dry run, basically. They were like, let's try this out and see if it works, and it did. And so that's really scary to think about. It's scary to think that like we may not have access to our money, or we may not have access to certain things that we need, or like our infrastructure could go down because of that. Like, and I think about, okay, like what would I do to protect my children in that situation, or my family, or our assets? I mean, not that that's even like a priority at that point, but like, you know, what would we do in that situation? Like, how can we prepare for that? And I don't know that you necessarily can.
I mean, there's some things you could do. create really strong passwords. No, like seriously, like little things like that are huge. Create really strong passwords. Don't repeat your passwords. Use a password manager.
Someone tried to hack into my PayPal the other day,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Good luck. There's nothing."
If you
in
use a
there.
password manager, a lot of times it'll identify like vulnerabilities. Like there's some things that you can do on your end for sure. And then as far as the things that are out of our control, I mean, for sure the United States government is aware of like a threat, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then companies are aware of these threats, even though, you know, people are trying all the time. Like that, there's a,
Right.
there's a battle like being fought like every day that we're not aware of, like
Sure.
digitally, for sure. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that one podcast we listened to about the cryptocurrency and that lady and everything kind of freaked me
Yeah.
out a little bit too.
What was that? I think that was yeah, it was not the Daily. It was the oh crap, what's that called? Show called? Anyways, it's a really popular show, WNYC podcast. Anyways, yeah, they talked about how like they would target people who maybe had a repeat password, and like they would hack into their computers, like literally access their like computer virtually, and then like essentially hold all of their private personal information hostage, because the demographic they targeted was a group of people who might not be computer savvy, might be a little bit older.
You're like your parents' generation.
Yeah, and they
Our
would have
parents.
like pictures that aren't backed up, and like tax information, documents, whatever it is. They would hold them hostage until they would pay them. And I think it was like Russia where it was
It
like
was
based. And they would demand like a cryptocurrency because it's like not trackable.
Well, the crazy thing though is the sample story they gave. The lady was actually Russian and she lives in the United States. So she like found these people and she emailed them in Russian and was like, "You're despicable. I can't believe you would do this." Like, you know, it was just kind of
Yeah.
interesting that she happened to be Russian.
Lativ Nasser is the name of the host. I can't remember the name of the podcast right now, whatever.
Yeah. Well.
But yeah, it was an interesting podcast, and she paid the ransom.
Well, but the crazy thing is, so she had to pay the ransom in cryptocurrency. So imagine explaining that to like your parents or like an older generation that has no gauge on like what that even means or like how to make that happen. She had to contact her daughter and be like, "What do I do?" Like,
So she ended up going to like a cryptocurrency ATM in Brooklyn somewhere, like in some like shady little like building.
it's the only cryptocurrency ATM in the United States. It's located in Brooklyn, New
I
York.
don't know if it was the United States. I think it was just like in her area.
I think they
I
said
think
the
there's
United
a.
States.
I think you can Google like I think there's a cryptocurrency ATM in Albuquerque even.
What?
Yeah.
We should find it. I want
But
to find it. Let's just make that a fun thing to do.
let's do it.
It's probably in an alley and there's like some like meth house.
I bet you it's at that convenience store on the corner of Lead and Yale, like in the university.
You have to like say a password and
Yeah.
like you have to like I don't know, you have to like do some Breaking Bad shit or something.
So I'll link that podcast episode if I remember. But it was really good.
Yeah, it was really interesting. So she had to pay the ransom in cryptocurrency, and then because cryptocurrency fluctuates like every minute,
Yeah.
like she paid the amount they gave her, but it wasn't enough.
The
because
value dropped.
The value dropped. So she had to like figure that out. Like I can't imagine the amount of stress that would put on somebody who doesn't understand
Yeah.
that.
She seemed really calm though, like so. I don't know.
Well, it was solved when we were talking to her,
Yeah.
but I mean,
Yeah.
at the time, I would have been freaking out.
Right. But yeah, I mean, I could imagine on a higher scale, like what would that look like? Where is all of our information and data kept? Amazon, like AWS, Amazon. What does AWS stands for? Amazon.
I don't know. You would know.
AWS. That's like they have servers and servers and servers of a lot of information for a lot of different companies. Like that's one of Amazon's bigger like pieces. Like of course they're retail, or not retail, like they're warehouses and like I guess that's retail.
Yeah.
But AWS
Data
like
storage.
houses a lot of data for a lot of different companies.
That's like the majority of Amazon's business, isn't it? Is like
I
data
don't know the
storage.
percentage, like the chunks of
It's
it,
like
but
a big amount.
it's a huge piece. Yeah, AWS, Facebook, Google, like all these big tech companies.
You mean Meta?
Yeah. If Russia could get into them,
Freaking
Then-
convince me he's not a robot. Like just
Yeah.
like seriously, change my mind.
the Zuck. Yeah.
Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg. Did you just come up with that?
I did.
Nice.
I'm pretty quick witted when I try.
Zuckerberg. But
let's make it viral, can we please? So.
I don't know. Would you think we would be affected if like those big companies got hacked?
I do, because literally everybody is on some kind of social media. I mean, even like older people, it's like they're on LinkedIn.
Is our electric grid connected to computers like that?
It probably.
Like, is it controlled by computers? Like, is there a
Well, think about generators and think about massive generators for city. Like, I mean,
like our
grids.
Albuquerque is our grid. I guess we're connected as far as grids are concerned. Our grid is all of the western U.S.
Right.
So we get most of our energy, I guess, from the Four Corners power plant, which is a coal power plant. But if they took out that power plant, I guess we could then take energy from like the grid elsewhere. But what if they attacked all of the power plants? I guess.
But that's what I'm saying. And the other thing that scares me, going on my fear tangent for the day, and I'm sorry, like if this is
that's okay. That's where a lot of people's heads are.
If this is like triggering people, please like ignore me. Like this is just me like spinning out with ideas in my brain. So please ignore me. I don't know shit. I'm not like an expert. Yeah. Like this is just my fear.
Everybody right now is saying, "Oh, those doomsday preppers."
Maybe they got it right.
They got it right.
Oh, actually, it's funny because some of my coworkers at work, we have a program at work that helps veterans. It's like a veteran services program. And a lot of the veterans that come in on a normal day might seem a little nuts to you. Mm-hmm. But right now they are all talking about their prepping efforts, and they're all in like prepper groups, and they are like talking about it a lot, and they're getting ready. Let's just put it that way. Like that's the buzz. When the veterans come in, you can hear them talking about it, and you're just like, oh shit. Yeah. Like
for me, it's kind of a fun little like mental exercise. Like, oh, what would I do? Like a zombie apocalypse. Like, what would I do? Where would I go? Like, it's kind of like a fun thing to toss around in your head. But
in this house, we'd be completely screwed. There's like windows everywhere. We'd be totally fucked.
For a zombie apocalypse. But what if there's like a worldwide global pandemic and then World War III? What do we do?
Yeah. You know, it's hilarious to think about. Like, if there's a zombie apocalypse, I'm on a tangent. I'll go back to where I was going. But
that's okay.
What if zombies just like weren't smart enough to like open gates? Like, what if they could like eat your brains, but like they couldn't open doors, or they like couldn't open like your gate to your backyard?
Then it'd just be kind of.
You'd just be like fine.
Yeah.
Like they'd just be like an annoyance at that point.
I think that's why I think that's why in zombie movies the zombies are smart and
they can. We watched
with
oh my gosh, Woody Harrelson,
Zombieland,
the man of my dreams, Double Tap. The other night, and I just like love Jesse Eisenberg, and I can't
believe we missed that movie too. Like I don't know how that fell off our radar.
I don't either, but like we watched it, and I just was like overjoyed because Woody Harrelson. I'll say it again: if I could have a beer with anybody famous, it would be Woody Harrelson, like hands down. Just because he's a weird dude, and I would enjoy the hell out of it.
Yeah.
But
maybe that's just his acting, though.
No, he's like weird in real life too.
Oh really?
I was reading about his like life story, and he's like, he's an interesting dude.
All right.
He lives in Hawaii, but anyway.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. I wouldn't have said.
His wife is Hawaiian. So, what was I gonna? Oh, the other place that my brain goes with all of this is, so we talked about cyber attacks. We talked about
zombies.
Shit, I totally forgot what I was gonna say. And it was like.
Like, what would you do?
Yeah, no, there was another thing I was gonna talk about, and okay. All right, got it. Circling back around. I love when people in offices say that. I'm going to circle back around. I'm like,
That being said,
it's like a passive-aggressive way of saying, like, don't talk about this again. We're moving on. Anyway.
Yeah.
That being said. New Mexico kind of freaks me out, too.
Why?
Because we have Los Alamos National Labs.
Mm-hmm. It's like the nuclear brains of the country, and it has been since World War II. Right.
So there's that. And then over here at Kirtland Air Force Base in Albuquerque.
Sandia Labs.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sandia Labs.
Sandia Labs does all the testing.
They do the testing and they do the storage. So in the Manzano Mountains, like here in Albuquerque, there's mountains.
Rumor has it.
No, it's confirmed.
Is it confirmed?
Yeah, it's declassified.
I'm just going to say it's rumor has it.
No, it's confirmed. It's been declassified.
Okay.
There's a storage facility inside the Manzano Mountains here in Albuquerque. There's also a bunker for the president should he need it.
Really?
Yep.
Is that been declassified or is that rumor?
No, that's real.
Okay. I've always considered that to be sort of New Mexico folklore, kind of like the Taos hum kind of thing. That's
definitely bullshit. But like, no, this is actually like confirmed.
Okay.
No, there's nuclear storage within the Manzano Mountains, and there is a bunker. So that makes me really like nervous. Because that kind of makes us a target, like whether we want to be or not. And that freaks me out a lot.
Yeah. I guess New Mexico would be a good place, though, because we have the Air Force Base, which has long runways, and it's an international airport. It can support, Air Force One, Air Force Two. There's fighter jets and like artillery, because it's an Air Force base. So it makes sense that would be like a bug out place for the president.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is, like, I think during World War II also, like, New Mexico just had a lot of space and it could fly under the radar, so to speak, like people aren't thinking like, oh, New Mexico, booming metropolis, like.
So I'm kind of a nerd, and I watch flight patterns of planes sometimes.
Yeah, you are kind of a nerd, for sure.
And one thing I noticed, I don't know this, I mean, it's probably just common knowledge, and I just, whatever, but White Sands National Park, where they had the testing of the first nuclear bomb, I don't know, first or whatever.
Yeah.
They tested nuclear bombs
We were just
in
there
World
like
War II.
a month ago.
Yeah. White Sands Missile Range.
Yeah.
There are no flights that go over White Sands Missile Range.
That's because they still use it for testing.
It's like restricted airspace.
They still use it for testing.
And I kind of wonder, too, about satellite images. I guess there's like Chinese satellites and Russian satellites. Like, can they just see whatever they want to see? Or is there a way for the United States to sort of like mask that? I don't know.
There might be. I don't know. And that's the other issue is like China. Like, I really hope we don't piss them off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just saying.
North Korea this week started testing again some missiles.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just
There's
really crazy. Like, and it's kind of like low grade anxiety for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And can I just like say something real quick?
Sure.
So low grade anxiety. Number one, COVID. I'm like, I'll handle this in stride. Like at the beginning of the pandemic, okay, cool. I'll wear a mask. Scientists say I need to wear a mask. Crossing my fingers, okay, cool. Vaccine's going to come along, and vaccines are great because they are virus killers. Oh no, people fucking don't want to take the vaccine because of some bullshit political stance or whatever.
Right.
Sorry.
Not sorry.
And like, it's just been a pandemic that's never ended. My kids aren't getting the education that they need. My kindergartner, but I'm really proud of him. He's like starting to read and write.
He's not in kindergarten.
I know, but he was kindergarten from the pandemic.
Oh, right.
But he's doing really good reading and writing.
He's catching up.
He's
Finally,
catching up.
yeah.
But
he started his education on a computer with like a half-assed educational system. Like, so
yeah, like
sad.
I mean, not to fault like the teachers or anything like that, but like they didn't know what to do. Like this is the first time we've ever had to do anything like this. They kind of adapted as much as they could, but low grade anxiety. Like, what do we do? Like, we basically our whole lives got shaken.
Yeah.
Our faith, our like friends groups, circles, like everything sort of just like fell apart all at once.
Support systems, community foundations that you used to depend on for like, for like social and moral support. Like you couldn't have those.
And now, like 2 years later, finally like numbers are starting to drop. But like, oh no, we're like gonna go to war now. All right, cool. I don't know.
It's just one of those things where I think about like, okay, so you and I are old enough in our generation to understand this. And it's weird because we have lived through a pandemic now, possibly a war. We've lived through like 9/11. We've lived through a recession. Like, I feel like our generation, I don't want to say our generation has gotten sort of screwed, but I kind of feel like that a little bit. I feel like we've had all these strikes against us.
Oh, yeah.
Economically. And that's not a great place to be. But then I think about my kids and I think about what they're going to remember, especially our oldest, who's 10. Like, this is going to generationally affect him, and there's going to be repercussions because of it. And our son who did kindergarten, during COVID, like, there's a whole generation of children now that are, like, going to be educationally behind for a little while.
Yeah.
And they may not catch up.
Yeah. I do have a lot of faith in, like, the neuroplasticity of children and how they're able to adapt, and I feel like a lot of kids are going to bounce back.
That's a big word.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thanks. I tried.
The word of the day, kids, is neuroplasticity.
I don't even know what it means. I'm like,
Ding, ding.
did I even use that right?
I think so.
But I feel like kids are resilient, and I feel like kids are going to bounce back. But I'm not like a doctor. I'm not an expert, but I feel like they are going to bounce back from a lot of this. But I don't know. Maybe it is going to have like some big impact. Because if you think about me and you, like there's some things that like we're dealing with that happened to us like on a personal level, not even like on a worldwide level, that sort of affects our personalities today. So I don't know.
It's interesting too. I work. I'm an employment specialist, so I help people find jobs, and I they come to me and I help them with their resume. I help them with their interview techniques. I help them kind of narrow down realistic jobs that they, are qualified for, that they should apply for. I help them with interview prep, all kinds of stuff. But what I've noticed in the last couple weeks as I've been doing this is there is an entirely different economic displacement of people too who have lost employment. And I know it sounds really weird, but there's like a lot of people that are displaced in our economy right now with jobs. So like people that are like our parents' age that lost their jobs during COVID, they're trying to get back out into the workforce again, and some of them for the first time in like 30 years.
Yeah.
And it's terrifying to them because the entire landscape of employment has changed. A lot of companies are like looking for certain things, and a lot of companies, if you have a pulse and you want a job right now, like you can get one. That's not the issue. A lot of these jobs that are lower paying, like low hanging fruit, like like fast food service, things like that, people aren't wanting to work in those jobs because they got stimulus money and they're not wanting to go back to work. So they're claiming benefits. So you have all these like low service industry jobs that aren't having employees. And then you have all of these jobs where you have companies that are like, moving to remote and they can't find people that are qualified because of the technology. They don't know how to use it, like our parents' age. So they're like not being able to get those jobs because it's remote, or they're requiring more technological know-how than before. And that's scary to people. Or you're finding these businesses that are trying to, sparingly use their money because they're worried, economically they're going to either shut down, or they got hit by COVID really hard and they don't have the funds to pay people the way they used to. And so you're having these people try to find jobs where you can get paid, and it's not working. And it's really scary because you have all these people that want to work, but you have this changing dynamic and landscape that doesn't really accommodate anybody.
We need to start rethinking a lot of these things, and a lot of these systems that were tailored for, 50, 60 years ago aren't working today. So
Right.
they just need to be like rethought.
Right.
And we just sort of, hey, I think we need to deconstruct.
That's a naughty word in some circles. Watch out.
We need to deconstruct like everything and sort of like build from the ground up, maybe.
Well, it's crazy. Like even the other day, like I got this email and it was from Albertsons and it was a recruiter, and they were like, hey, we're running open interviews for the next week from 2 to 6 every single day at every store. We really need people. We don't have enough people to like maintain grocery stores, like because of the shipping thing too. Like they're having issues with that too. So
But
it's
the convoy thing that's going to DC.
like the shipping thing. Like there's like supplies. There's like stuck in customs, like
okay.
off the coast, like off the West Coast. They're not getting their supplies in time. So it's like you don't have enough people to even work in like grocery stores, and then like the people that do work, it's like high risk. It's considered high risk still. So they're people are nervous, like they don't know what to do, and it's a really weird time.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, I hope there's some hope around the corner. Like
Silver lining?
who know, like I'm rooting for some sort of diplomatic thing. I'm hoping somebody talks some sense into Russia and Putin. But
like you can't speak rationally to somebody who's irrational, and that's the problem.
But I really do. I think I am kind of personally, I think I'm bracing myself for even more loss. You know what I mean? Like, I'm bracing myself for a nuclear attack, or like South Korea moving, or something even more crazy. Because, like, we've been in this state of mind that, oh, like these things will never happen. Like there will never be a global pandemic. Like it'll be fine. Like, or there'll never be a nuclear attack. After World War II. Like we learned our lesson with Japan, and we learned our lesson. But maybe I should be in the mindset of just like I need to be ready.
Proactive.
Yeah, like not even just like ready for the safety of my kids and like our family, but just ready like mentally, like what's this going to do? Like, how is this going to affect us? How are our jobs going to be affected? Retirement, like the rest of our lives. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of a lot to think about.
It is a lot to think about. It's, you know, it's funny because you and I had, for the last like 2 years, we've talked about wanting to buy a house and going on and on and on about that.
Yeah.
And finally,
Still
like,
no house.
no, but that's okay. Like, I'm at this point right now where I'm like, I would rather just like be content and like focus on like the things that are happening in the world right now and not worry about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
How can we make this space, bless you. How can we make this space safe for our kids?
Right now.
And like,
Like right
because,
now.
yeah, like right now.
Because there may not be, I mean, God, I sound like such a nihilist. Like, there may not be a future. Like, or not even that. Like,
Via nihilist Lebowski.
no, but like the future is looking a little uncertain right now. And so, like, the last thing I want to do is go buy a house.
Yeah.
Like, I'll give it another year. It's fine. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
I even feel guilty, like, and this is super petty and this is really just a superficial thing, but I'm going to say it. Like, Lorenzo and I, for our anniversary coming up this month, March 20th, we were going to go out of town. We were going to go somewhere, you know, anywhere. I don't know. Just somewhere.
I have my eyes set on the Rust Belt.
Because Cleveland, it rocks, you know?
Cleveland or Cincinnati or
Detroit.
Pittsburgh, Detroit. Those, for whatever reason, really fascinate me. I've never been to that area, and
Right.
I want to go to that. And then also like Milwaukee and Minneapolis. I guess that's not really Rust Belt, but that's like
Right.
it's more of a Are they Midwest?
Upper Midwest, yeah.
Upper Midwest. Yeah, those places really fascinate me. So
yeah,
anyways.
we were gonna buy plane tickets. We were gonna do that, but like the cost of like fuel, and then also with all of this other looming stuff with war and like, I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe we're just like the post 9/11 era, but like going and flying on a plane right now for me doesn't seem like the smartest or safest decision I could be making.
Yeah.
I don't know. So we're gonna drive to California with our kids, and that's the other thing. I would love to have an anniversary with just you, but by the same token, I feel like our kids need that. They need a little joy. They need something good and like happy, and so I really want to give that to them. So we're gonna go to California and
No, I think it's good.
spend some time, and I
it'd be
think they
good.
need. I think they need to see some good because they haven't done anything positive like that in over 2 years.
They've been kind of hammering out life alongside us. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like they've been troopers. So
I just want to allow them to like have a time of rest and like, you know, happiness and family memories, and like, you know, we'll go to the beach and we're going to go to Universal, I think, too. But I just want them to have that because it's been so long.
yeah, and that's one thing that when we were in Oregon, they absolutely loved the beach, and that's one thing I miss spending that time with them at the beach. But,
Me too.
All right, well, do you want to take a pause and talk about what we're listening to? Yeah, let's take a quick pause. We will be right back. All right, we're back.
We are back.
So, kind of change the topic. Shifting gears.
We're going to shift gears here for a minute.
Shift some gears.
What's corporate speak for that? We're going to shift gears here for a minute.
I have no idea.
What
I
is
was going to tell you too, like the cringy person. I went to a conference virtually. Gosh, there was so much cringe. This guy, like he's...
That's okay. That's an Instagram. I follow this Instagram. It's called Cringe Moist.
yeah.
It is like the most unsettling / entertaining thing ever.
That's why it's so cold in here. Our window's open.
It's not open.
Yeah, it was cracked.
It's like crooked.
I'll have to address that in a
It's
minute.
weird. Anyway. So yeah, Instagram. I follow this account called Cringe Moist. If you like cringy things that make you laugh or also like want to throw up a little in your mouth, like you might enjoy it. It's also just highly entertaining. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I always get a kick out of it. I laugh really hard most of the
Yeah.
time. So
Yeah, this guy just was. I'm just like, whoa! Like you don't say that to people, man. Like, and you're on a conference where people are streaming this
what
all
did
over
he
the
say?
state.
Now I'm curious.
He's just like
Not-
commenting on the keynote speaker's like wife and stuff, and I'm just like, it's just weird. It's just like I'm like, I literally was just like
Did he talk about
verbalizing like my disgust. It was what's that?
his smoking hot wife?
Yeah, kind of like
My smoking hot wife,
commenting.
Kaylee.
Yeah, it was just weird. He did have like sort of a southern twang to him too.
Of course.
But anyways, what are you listening to?
Thanks for segueing it that way. Well, I was listening to the Spooked podcast, and then I don't know. That kind of got messed up. I had a free thing, and then, I don't know. I'm kind of ridiculous. So I have been listening to, I have to find it, a couple different podcasts. My friend actually turned me on to this one called Creeps and Crimes. It's these two girls that talk about crime, and they're just funny, and they drink wine, and I mean, it's kind of your stereotypical female crime setup, but it's funny. Creeps and Crimes. I also like this one called Enlightened Empaths. It's very woo-woo, so if that's not your deal, then don't listen to it. But it's definitely got some interesting topics. What's Up BBQ, because that's my podcast. There's also, where is it? I've got to find it, I'm sorry. There's this one that my friend told me about, my friend Amanda, actually. It's called Maintenance Phase. And it basically breaks down all of these different diets throughout, like popular culture and history. And they deep dive, and they talk about why they don't make sense and why they're ridiculous. So, like, for example, there's Jordan Peterson Part 1, the carnivore diet. Oops, All Meat, how a 50s bodybuilder, a Grateful Dead roadie, and an unreadable professor accidentally launched one of America's wildest fads. Super Size Me, they talk about that. Illness influencers, because there are illness influencers on Instagram, and that's like a whole movement. So
illness.
So like if you have cancer, and you're documenting your journey through cancer on Instagram, there's this one girl named Belle Gibson out of Australia, and she was a total fraud. Like, she faked it. She faked being an illness influencer for like clout. So it talks about that. Diet book deep dive, the Karl Lagerfeld diet, fat camps, sleep loss epidemic, is being fat bad for you? There's just all kinds of interesting topics on here. So I've really enjoyed that, actually. Rachel Hollis, like the girl wash your face lady, how she's just a total BS influencer. I like the titles of the episodes, though. It's Rachel Hollis Part 1, #relatable. And then Hollis Part 2, Girls Start Apologizing.
Okay, what podcast is this?
So this podcast is called, Maintenance Phase.
Oh, you know what's funny is like you shared it with me.
I probably did, yeah. It's really good. It's really interesting. They're not super long, which is helpful, and they're just like, it's well-researched content, so I really like that. And they kind of debunk like junk science and health fads and wellness scams and bad nutrition advice. And I think that that's necessary in today's culture, because we are bombarded all the time with like what we should be doing, and I'm not even sure if it's like accurate. The other podcast I just downloaded, I haven't started listening yet, is called Cheers to Leaving, an Exvangelical podcast. Because, I'm deconstructing. I know several other people are also. So that might be a good one. And then I wanted to shout out a podcast. It's called The Skeptic Psychic. And the only reason I'm shouting this is because the guy's from Roswell, New Mexico. And he's actually one of the clients where I work. And I was talking to him on the phone for a long time. And he was talking about his podcast. And I was like, tell me, you have a podcast? Like, tell me about it. And he's like, oh, it's called The Skeptic Psychic. And I was like, well, that's cool. It's like, I'll check it out. So he talks a lot about like paranormal and supernatural stuff. And he's out of Roswell, New Mexico. And so it's always fun to meet a nice other like New Mexican podcaster. Totally not in the podcasting realm, but in other places. So that's neat. So that's what I'm listening to as far as like podcasts go. And then music. I've got a lot of randoms right now. I've been kind of going back to a little bit of At the Drive-In lately. I've just been kind of in a post-hardcore punk sort of phase, I guess, again. There's a band called Hockey Dad that I've been listening to a little bit, which I like a lot. Alt J has a new album out, so that's been on my rotation as well. And then I was going to say, I've also been kind of throwing it back a little to like some Motown. I've been listening to a lot of Curtis Mayfield lately. And then there's this band that I freaking love. They're called Lime Cordiale, I don't know. Mm-hmm. It's Cordiale. But they're fantastic. There's a song called Screw Loose. You can check that out. It's a good one to get going with them. And then Gang of Youths has a new album out too, which is, I know, one of our favorite bands, You and Me Together. So I've been listening to that. And that's really it as far as music goes, I've kind of been on this like rotation. Run the Jewels, always. I always throw them into my stuff, just because that's my deal. Ow! Damn it!
What happened?
This cat just like attacked me. He just like jumped on me and bit me.
We can edit that out.
You little asshole. God. And then there's another band called Slomosa, which I really like. And there's a song, it's called Horses by Slomosa. They're very like old school rock and roll sounding, garage bandy. So that's it.
All right. Are you okay?
I'm done. That really
cat
caught me off
attack.
guard. I thought he was going to come and snuggle with me, and then he jumped on my arm and like tried to bite me. And that's why I don't like cats.
Mm-hmm.
Little fucker.
Little fucker.
Seriously. I'm
All
getting
right.
a dog, Russell. Today.
No.
Oh, watch me.
All right. So, podcasts, I haven't really. I think this is like every episode I talk about like how I haven't really been listening to podcasts, but I bounce around two of my main podcasts that I love. Radiolab is the one that had
The crypto.
the crypto thing. But Radiolab had a really interesting podcast recently, which they collaborated with one of my favorite YouTubers, Joe. I don't know his last name, but his name's he introduces himself as Joe on YouTube, and the YouTube channel he has is It's Okay to Be Smart. I think it's a PBS podcast. I think it's supposed to appeal to kids, but I'm kind of a big kid, so. But he also
Lorenzo,
what?
it's okay to be smart.
Okay, thanks. His name is Joe. He's a biologist, I think. But they collaborated with him to do a podcast about how there are these like mini ecosystems in the canopies of these temporal rainforests in Washington, Oregon, and California. And it's really cool. Like there's
Oh, you were telling me a little bit about this.
like the trees will spring up roots up top, and like a lot of the detritus, and I say detritus,
I don't.
like dead matter will like get caught up on these roots, and like they'll decompose, and then they generate like nutrients for
It's like organic matter for them
Yeah.
to keep growing. Yeah.
but there's different sort of like there's even like little pools of water up there, and like I think they even said like aquatic animals and stuff.
It's like a sub ecosystem.
Yeah.
Within an ecosystem.
It's a really awesome podcast. I enjoyed it a lot. So I've been listening to that, and then the Daily. They had an episode about Joe Rogan, which I listened to a little bit of Joe Rogan a long time ago, just because I wanted to see what everybody was listening to, and it was fine. It was conversation. He also interviewed some people like I thought like people who I follow, MKBHD, Marquez Brownlee, the tech reviewer. He was on the podcast. I wanted to listen to the Elon episode. There was a couple of other episodes, and it's good conversation.
Can I just quickly, like, I don't want to like shout out Elon Musk because I feel dirty when I do that.
Yeah.
But I do have to say, like, what he did for Ukraine's like bandwidth, like, that was a good move.
Yeah.
Like, I'm actually like, good job taking your authority and your like global influence and doing something good with it. That's a positive step in the right direction.
Right. We need more of that.
Are you listening, Zuckerberg? Are you listening?
Your move,
Yep,
Borg.
no joke.
So yeah, listen to that podcast episode from the Daily, the saga of Joe Rogan. It was pretty interesting. And the guy that they interviewed in that episode was, kind of mirrored like my listening to podcasts like Joe Rogan. It's like sort of makes the daily routine things a little bit more manageable, I guess. Like folding clothes. Like
Yeah.
I don't really want to fold clothes in silence. I listen to a podcast that I don't really have to be
It doesn't take a lot of
invested
mental
Yeah.
energy.
in. Yeah, so Joe Rogan, I can listen to doing that. And this other one called WTF with Marc Maron. It's just sort of conversation. I haven't really been listening to Joe Rogan. Like I get the controversy about what's going on with the misinformation about COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But in that podcast, they talked about how he dove into, I guess, like all angles of sort of like a thing, right? So they brought in an infectious disease doctor. They interviewed him and his thoughts. There was an interesting episode that I actually listened to, and I don't know if people hate me for listening to Joe Rogan, but whatever. I
think you need to clarify. Like, you're not like a big like supporter of his like ideologies.
No, like I am willing to listen to science, and I'm not going to say science is gospel because not even scientists are going to say science is gospel. Scientists are ready to like discover, and they're going to write a paper, and if somebody writes another more updated paper that says your paper's wrong, they're not going to be all pissed off. They're going to say, "Oh, I'm glad that you were investigating this as well." Science is a collective community of people who are trying to find answers to like natural phenomenon, I guess. So like a scientist isn't going to say, "Screw you, you jerk, for disproving my thing." They're going to say, "Hey, thank you. Like, let's be a community," I guess. I don't know. Anyways, he brought in a guy, I think it was Texas A&M. I think he was like I don't know for sure his title, but it sounded like he was sort of like a environmental economist, talking about like economist talking about like climate change. It was really fascinating. Some interesting stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, podcasts. That's about it. Radiolab, The Daily, a little bit of Joe Rogan, a little bit of WTF.
I actually forgot some things too, so let me know when you want to circle back around.
You already had your turn.
I know. I just forget.
Music. I've been listening to a lot of music because I work from home now. So there's a band that I sort of discovered accidentally. They're called Hot Mulligan. And there is the album that I've been listening to is called You'll Be Fine. Really great. Sort of just good stuff. Kind of punk rocky, sort of indie, more punk rocky, kind of raspy, just whatever. But then it gets sort of emo-y sometimes too, so it's really good. I've been going back a little bit on like older music that I haven't listened to in a long time. One of those bands that I really loved a long time ago is called The Bouncing Souls. Saw them a few times at Launchpad back in the day. High energy, just really good, kind of uplifting punk. Not pop punk, but it's like one of those staple epitaph bands from back in the day. The Bouncing Souls. I've been listening to them. One of their songs I like a lot is called Gone. It's really good. Other music I've been listening to, there's another band that is sort of in the same vein as Hot Mulligan, and they're called Spanish. Oh crap! Hang on. They're called Spanish Love Songs, I think. Did I get logged out of my thing?
I don't know.
My music app is like trying to recommend all kinds of stuff that I don't really want. Let's see. They're called Spanish Love Songs. Yeah, Spanish Love Songs.
That sounds very generic. Sounds like a disc set you'd buy like off the TV at like 11 at night.
Maybe that's the point.
Compilation.
Yeah, Spanish Love Songs. Their album. Let's see here. This is riveting. I'm looking for an album of a band. Anyways, Spanish Love Songs. They're really good. Guilty Pleasure. I guess there's this band called Emarosa. They're taking pop punk and emo to like even a more obnoxiously pop punky emo stage.
You just went to a concert like that.
Yeah, I did, but no, they're not obnoxious though.
That's true.
I mean, they are to some people. I saw Dashboard Confessional, which they have a new album I've been listening to.
So were all the like middle-aged single women like crying? Like, was that what was going on, or like what was the deal?
Mostly, yeah. It was just like 2005, but everybody was
older,
like a lot older.
I just picture somebody in their like late 30s, early 40s, like Chris Carrabba.
Yeah. No, he was there. It was fun. It was a lot of fun old
I'm not
songs.
making fun of you. I just picture that audience, and I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah, it was kind of funny though, because like me and John were just like so tired. We're just like, it's 9:30. Like we should be sleeping. Yeah, I went with my buddy John. He's my concert going friend for I don't know 10 years, 15 years now. But no, that was fun. I saw Dashboard Confessional, and then one of my favorite bands of all time, Jimmy Eat World.
Yeah.
But it kind of, and I think you noticed this, like it kind of threw off my state of mind for the next couple of days after that, because a lot of this. No, Jimmy Eat World is really good.
Just kidding. I just give you a hard time.
But it's sort like a lot of the music that they played was from this album Futures, which is really good. It's like 2004, 2005, and it sort of just like made me be very contemplative and like thoughtful, and like brought me back to, I don't know, kind of like transported me and just threw me in this like weird space. I don't know if you can relate to that or not, but what? Oh, Lindsay's looking at our Google Google TV like plays or goes through a slideshow of photos, and they're on Seaside, I think.
Seaside, Oregon, yeah. It's just a pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good picture.
They found shovels, I think, at the beach that day, and they were having a blast.
Yeah. And they found like parts of dead crabs, and they were just like playing with them. Yeah. But
oh, to be young. I wanted to also, like, when you're done here, I think we should piggyback on the what are you listening to? I think we should say like what are you watching, because I feel like that's a whole different category.
That's part of like our thing anyway.
But that's like where my brain went after, and that's what I wanted to say after. So. But
yeah, that's all I've been listening to as far as podcasts and music. All right, so what are you watching?
Oh, you're gonna right now?
Yeah.
So on YouTube, there's this channel called Glamourdaze, like GLAMOURDAZE. Mm-hmm. And they do hand coloring of old film footage. Mm-hmm. See, that's like 9.
Oh, that sounds really cool.
It is old, and it is old. It is cool, and it's old too. No, so they have like, for example, they have a day in the Roaring 20s of Berlin. So they hand color the footage, and then they add like sounds that are appropriate for like that film, and it makes history just feel so much closer and so much more real. They had one that was called A Day at the Beach in 1928 in Odessa, Ukraine. And I watched that one the other day, and it was just like heartbreaking, actually. But it's interesting because they have like all of this colorized footage that's very, very old, and they make it just feel so much more near. It doesn't feel as distant. It doesn't feel like history and humanity is that far away.
There's a Reddit thread called Barbara Walters for Scale, and it kind of puts a lot of those things in perspective, like I don't know, it's really cool. Just check it out.
The other thing I watch is called That Chapter. It's true crime, but it's this Irish guy named Moik, and he's my favorite. And he narrates true crime stories, but his narration is really good. And he has this like kind of subtle sarcasm / dark humor, but it goes really well with the way he narrates these true crime stories.
Nice.
It's really well done. So it's called That Chapter.
Moik.
It's good. It's really good. If you like true crime, you should definitely check out That Chapter. You would love it. It's addicting. You can binge them all. Like, it's great. I've obviously been following the CNN feeds on Ukraine, which I don't think I need to get into that. And then I watch Fundie Fridays, which is, I know I talk about her because I love her. Her name is Jen and her boyfriend James, and they narrate like different aspects of fundamentalism, like Christian fundamentalism. So they cover different things. Like the last one was called Bethel, Bill and Sean's Awful Adventure. Like, talking about Sean Fucht. I can't ever say his last name. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Anyway, and so she narrates that and kind of goes into history. But she also does a lot of really good research. Like,
that guy.
She's good and she's well-researched.
She's a piece of work, tell you what.
I know. But I learn a lot every time I watch one of these. It's very interesting. And then on, like, Netflix and stuff, you and I are watching some interesting things.
What are we watching? Oh, Archive 81, which... kind of sort of tingled my fundamental sort of background a little bit, because it goes into like the occult a little bit. Kind of creeped me out.
Got a little weird.
Okay, I gotta tell you something weird. I've never told you this, but like after we watched that show, we have this hallway that goes to our room, and when I turn off all the lights and make sure the doors are locked, because I do that all the time. Sometimes I check to make sure the door's locked maybe 2 or 3 times. I don't know why, but when I turn off all the lights in our house, it is really dark in our house. And you're already in bed, and I'm walking down the hall, and I can't see anything. I'm literally like feeling the hall to see where I'm at. I make sure there's nobody behind me, like that I'm going to be pushed.
Okay.
It's like this weird, like totally irrational feeling.
That is super weird, but okay.
So anyways, yeah, so that's been a really good show, Archive 81. It has some good acting, a really interesting plot. Has the main bad guy is he used to play in this show called Weeds. I used to watch back in the day before I met you, I think.
Yeah, I've never seen
and he looks a lot like Skip Heitzig, who is the pastor of a mega church.
Coincidence? I think not.
Yeah. Gosh, Skipper. Yeah.
Can you imagine that guy getting in trouble? Skipper Heitzig, you come here right now.
Right.
Like, could you say that with a straight face?
No.
I couldn't.
I couldn't. But yeah, that's been a good show. I think that's the only thing on Netflix we've been watching.
We've been watching The Servant, which is kind of slow moving.
That's on Apple TV.
Oh yeah, it's good.
It started off really good.
It's just gotten a little slow, but we're willing
It's still entertaining.
to hang on to the long haul.
On Netflix, there was another one on Netflix that we watched. I can't think of it.
Oh, Murderville.
Murderville, yeah, that's good. But there was something else. Anyways, whatever.
We watched The Great.
The Great on Hulu.
Yeah. Oh, you know what I did watch on Netflix was Inventing Anna. And if anybody has been following the Anna Delvey case, which is super interesting to me, there's a mini-series, and the girl that plays Ruth from Ozarks is the main character in this one, so I love it.
That's the other one, Ozarks.
Yes.
On Netflix. They just released, was it season 3?
Season 4, part 1.
Yeah. So we got through that like in a week.
Yeah,
but,
easy.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so it was really good. If you haven't even started watching Ozarks,
It's worth it.
you should start, because this is the final season, so you'll be caught up by the time it's over. But it's sort of like Breaking Bad-ish, but it has a lot of really good
Breaking Bad, but in the
acting
Ozarks.
and characters, and yeah, it's a great show. So.
Yeah,
That's it.
been good. So those are our shows. I mean,
That's the deal.
that's the deal. I think we're gonna go to Costco,
We're so old.
have some pizza.
We're such old people.
I think we need some.
Nice little Sunday.
Yeah, nice little Sunday. I want to have a beer too. I don't know if I
Costco has
should or
lots of
not.
beer.
But I want to have a beer and enjoy my Sunday. Super windy today.
It's very windy. It's howling out there, and it makes me not want to go outside. But
So this has been an interesting parenting versus podcast because our kids are in the same house as us, but they
weird, right?
Yeah. And the most distraction we've had is our own selves and the heater that's moving right now. So
And the cat and
the cat. But I don't know. I'm hoping for
positivity to come our way.
I hope for positivity for us.
And also, and I'm not even trying to be cheesy, I'm dead serious. We definitely support Ukraine, and they've been in my thoughts a lot. And if you can do anything from where you're sitting, please help Ukraine, help people, help humanity be better, please. If you have the ability, do that.
Be better humans.
Yeah.
All right, that's all we got. Bye.